We humans are not by nature very sustainable. We collapse and dissolve all too soon. If you lay out an 80-year existence as a series of diamonds, this is how brief and insubstantial it all looks. And this is what a life looks like as months. The whole thing would fit on the back of an envelope. And let's imagine you're 34 and will live to be 80. This is how few winters you're going to have left. It's because life is so desperately brief for all of us that a capacity to think and act sustainably is such a daunting, but when we can pull it off, deeply impressive concept. Housed in fragile bodies, daily subject to short-term appetites, we are sometimes nevertheless capable of identifying with projects that will persist way beyond ourselves. One of the best-known instances of sustainable thinking emerged in Renaissance Florence, where the ruling Medici family worked to remake their city into the beautiful piece of civic architecture it is today. Crucially, the Medici didn't want to build just one or two nice buildings for themselves and their equally affluent friends. They wanted to make their city beautiful for everyone. In this spirit, the Medici built not only cathedrals and palaces, but also beautiful public squares. They commissioned and sponsored great works of art, which inspired people to think in new ways. They collected vast libraries and even built a philosophical academy. They also thought a lot about what the world needed more of in the coming years. They sponsored the development of new scientific ideas and popularized the best cutting-edge technology. Many of their projects revolutionized the world they lived in. Others changed the world much later. In many ways, the Medici were the science fiction visionaries of their time. That's part of what investment always is, the underwriting of a particular vision of the future. Today's Medici are thinking in the same way. They consider what people 500 years from now will need, what kind of cities they'll want to live in, what kind of planet they'll live on, what kind of technology they'll use. It's a tricky thing, of course, to think long-term. Human beings in general are notorious for being selfish, throwaway and trivial. But we can sometimes transcend this. It starts with a better understanding of responsibility. Companies and governments are always reminding us of our responsibilities. They surround us with rules and commands. That's what being responsible can sometimes be confused with, obedience. But real adult responsibility has nothing to do with obedience to legal requirements. Proper responsibility means taking on things that you're not technically accountable for. It means taking on board things that are not directly in your narrow personal sphere. It means species responsibility rather than individual responsibility. Many people first understand this when they have children. We plan big things for children, things they might not know they'll want, things we'll never see. The years take on a different scale. 500 years sounds like a long time to plan ahead, but it's only 12 generations. Time will go on for us even when our own months and years run out, through the investments we've made in the future of others. Our responsibility towards future generations is where we make our greatest and most important contribution. That is what it really means to think sustainably, to live with a deeper understanding of responsibility and a wider perspective on time.